Being a real estate agent can be demanding. Being a mom, now that's even more challenging. Now being a mom in real estate, now that is hard.
Hello everyone, welcome to Moms in Real Estate Live. I'm Angela Fazio, your host, and today we are talking with industry leaders. So I'm out of my league here, where you will see why. And let me introduce these beautiful ladies to you. I've got Dena Greenawalt, and she has been in the business for 8.5 years, is that right?
Yep.
And you do about $7 million in production?
Between 7 and 10, yeah.
Between 7 and 10?
Yeah.
Gosh, that's awesome. And then I have Tiffany Jones to my right, who's been in the real estate industry like forever.
For a long time.
Title for 8.5 or so years.
Yep.
And then in real estate for 10?
January will be 10.
10 years. So
Yeah.
your whole life.
Yeah.
Practically.
And before that I worked for a lender, so I say I'm the trifecta.
You're the trifecta. Trifecta in real estate. And you do, what would you, $3 or $4 million in production?
Yes.
Awesome. So it's industry leaders. Both of these ladies are remarkable in the fact that they are super involved with our industry. And so today we're going to hear all about that, but let's start with something really fun like our kids.
Okay.
Tell us about your kids, Tiffany.
I have Garrett and Brooke. I don't know where to look.
You look
at you.
Where you want.
Okay, I'll look at you. So I have Garrett, is my oldest. He's 19. And I have Brooke, who is almost 17. Brooke is still a senior in high school. Garrett's in college at Chandler Gilbert Community College.
And we just found out right before we started that Garrett is officially licensed.
Yes.
Officially licensed.
Yes, he's going to be working with me, thankfully.
That's very exciting.
And my stepmom, it's a family affair. My stepmom works with me too, so.
Yeah, awesome. Right? And so Garrett has been working in the industry for a few years now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, he puts up open house signs. He works with open house helpers, and then he helps me with my signs as well.
So he's got a little bit of that wiring already in there.
He has been listening to me in the back of the car, driving to all of their sports stuff, negotiating stuff his whole life, pretty much.
For sure. Chuck and I say that our kids are, especially our two oldest kids, Danielle could write a contract better than any realtor when she was like 10.
Yeah, they know.
It's just, they couldn't help it.
They know all the terms. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I was taking, I just went and got my PSA, pricing strategy advisor certification. Anyways, and you had to take 2 online classes. So I'm sitting there watching my online class, and Garrett comes walking in, and he hears it, and he's like, "Mom, this is old information."
Oh, okay, 19-year-old.
Yeah, and I was like, I go, "You're right," because it was built in 2015.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Oh my gosh, he totally knows."
That's nuts. Well, at least you know that they're paying attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, even my husband, she said something as my husband came down, because I was just sitting in the family room with no TV on and stuff, and everybody else was upstairs. And my husband goes, "Oh, please." When she said something other, I'm like, even my husband knows.
That's funny. That's funny. So I want to hear a little bit more about your kids in just a minute. But first, Dena, would you introduce us to your son?
Sure. I have a son named Connor. He is 21. He's going to be 22 at the end of November. He is awesome. Proud mom. He just graduated from GCU in April with his video and film degree and minor in marketing, minor in business, and he is such a social kid. So we're very, very proud of him. And he too. He probably can do a comedy routine on, mimicking from being in the back seat of the car between, my past career and this career, and have it all down pat. And but he's a great kid. He was a 4-year letter winner in Seton Catholic for 3 sports. I mean, he's just extremely social. So, and does a lot of things for fun. And he was my date last night to the Tab Bonet concert at the Rhythm Room, which was really fun because that was not his normal type of music, but my husband was out of town and we had the tickets. So I said, "Hey, you want to go to a concert with your mom?" And so he did. So we had a lot of fun.
I bet that was fun. What is he going to do with his
He's looking for full employment right now. He took a summer job. He was with NSLC, which is National Student Leadership Conference, and they are an awesome program. I highly encourage any parents to put their kids in that when they're in high school. It is a program for high school students, either between sophomore and junior and senior year, to go to one of like 6 or 8 universities around the country that participate, and you go to your line of study. So you get to check out what you think you want to be when you grow up.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so it could be civil service, it could be a doctor, a lawyer, communication.
What was it called?
It's called NSLC, National Student Leadership Conference. And he was invited primarily, I think, because he was at Seton at a prep school. A lot of the kids that attend prep schools or private schools get an invitation. Those that are unfortunately at public schools don't always know about it, and you have to apply.
I see.
And it's not an inexpensive summer camp. It's about anywhere from 10 to 14 days on average, and you're submersed in that line of study.
That's really cool.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
So he did that between sophomore and junior, and his team did a film that actually got submitted to Sundance Film Festival, made it through the first pass, and then because there were so many in that group, got cut. But so anyway, fast forward, when he got into college, they asked him to come as a team lead or whatever. And this past year, they asked him if he would be program director for the program he went through. So he spent part of his summer at American University and part of it in Berkeley, leading that group. So
That's
he's
cool.
got high schoolers that he's taking through that program. And he had to,
Cool.
yeah, he had to learn how to hire. He had to learn how to interview. I mean, he's 21
Yeah.
and he's doing all of that. So
That's cool.
yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
so he didn't interview for a job right away when he graduated because he's like, Mom, I'm going to be gone for almost 3
why
months.
would you?
And so now he's in that process, and so he really wants to be in a marketing department doing video and film and marketing, and so
He'll find
he's
something.
yeah he's interviewing.
He's
So
talented.
Good. Yeah, that's awesome. You know what? It's we can't even get half the people who come here for an interview to show up. So
yeah,
that's a life skill right there.
Yes.
So
It
that's
is.
awesome. That's
Well, he's
really
a
exciting.
homeowner too.
he is a homeowner. So his last year of college, all of his buddies that he hung out with and roomed with at GCU, a lot of them were from out of area or North Phoenix or Tucson or whatever, and they had jobs that they wanted to stay and do through the summer between junior and senior year. So he said, Mom, I don't want to go back to campus. So I said, well, I'm not renting anything. That's just not the thing that a realtor's son does. So we went and we found a condo near the Point 16th Street, and my lender that I work with helped him get a kitty condo loan, and my husband, because he's a W-2, co-signed for the loan. He's not on the loan because otherwise Connor wouldn't qualify for it, but helped with his credit and all of that. Since I'm a 1099, there'd be 100 extra pieces of paper. So my husband did that, and so Connor has his own place, and we told him he was responsible for his electricity and his internet while he was in school, and once he gets a job, he gets to take on a little more of his bills.
Of course.
But
That's
so
really
he's
cool. What an opportunity for a young
Yeah.
man, right?
I was like, he's a homeowner. He's
Right
not.
on.
He is, yeah.
Very cool.
yeah, exactly.
My husband will tell you he didn't even consider being a homeowner until he was in his late 30s. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
in New York, it just wasn't a thing.
Well,
Right,
yeah.
exactly. Back
Yeah.
there, it's a much harder thing on the East
Sure,
Coast. Yeah.
sure. That's really cool. What an opportunity.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some stuff. Let's first talk about, you know what, I have to tell you, I've known you for a while now, and I learned so much about you on the phone when we had our pre-interview.
Yes.
And one of the things that I thought was really interesting that I'm thankful that you're willing to share is about your daughter.
Yes. The time that I spend with her.
Yes.
On her.
So tell us just a little bit about that.
So, in the second grade, my daughter, I got a call from the principal at her elementary school. Her wonderful teacher, Mrs. Palmer, or Miss Palmer, I should say, such a great teacher. She had reached out to the principal and said, listen, I'm having a lot of trouble with this student. She's super smart, but she cannot focus to save her life. And she was trying to come up with all these different alternatives to get her motivated to actually just sit and listen and do it. So they came to me and they said, we think you need to look into possibly having ADHD. So we went to Phoenix Behavioral Health and she was diagnosed in 2nd grade. But I came from the mentality of, I'm not going to medicate my kids. And that was a mistake. But I didn't learn that mistake until finally my daughter was going through puberty and I was sitting down with a very good friend of mine and she was talking about...
This is years later.
Years later. Brooke is at this point in time probably in 7th grade. In 2nd grade is when she was first diagnosed. Then again in 4th grade she was diagnosed again through when we were living in California. Because she had an issue with that school too. So, and I didn't trust the school's counseling to take care of anything. So I said, we're gonna take it out of your hands. I don't want you involved at all. I will go find outside help myself. Because I did not like that school counselor. So I didn't feel like she was like for the kids.
Right.
So I said, I'll take care of it and we'll take it outside. And once again, they told me again. And each time they told me, she needs to be medicated. And I was like, you spent 15 minutes with her. How could you possibly know? Go down the line. I'm sitting with my girlfriend, who is an amazing realtor. And she was telling me about her kids went to Duke, one went to Notre Dame, the other one went to Georgia Tech. Like all good schools.
Oh, wow.
And I said, tell me your secret, and what did you do? And she was sitting down with me telling me, and I said, well, this is what I have to deal with, because I had just gotten something from the principal in my email, and I showed it to her, and I said, this is what I'm dealing with. And she said, is your daughter really sweet? I said, yeah, she's adorable. She's so funny. She's so smart. And she said, no kid wants this kind of attention. No kid wants this kind of attention. And I was like, oh my gosh. Didn't even dawn on me that, that she wasn't doing it on purpose, like that she didn't maybe have control over it. So she said, I'm going to send you to this wonderful psychiatrist that helped my son, who now is a doctor. It's a year since then, has become a doctor. And she said, I'm going to send you who I sent my son to because she made such a world of difference. So I went to this psychologist with my daughter who specializes in kids with behavioral issues, ADHD, ODD, all those behavioral issues. And I sat down with her for a while. It was me and my daughter together. And she goes, Mom, so how many specialists have you gone to that have told you that Brooke is ADHD and possibly needs to be medicated? And I said, at this point in time, I said, well, I've been to 3. And she said, and all 3 have said that she needs medication. I said, yeah, all 3. And she said, so how many specialists do you have to go to before you decide to listen to the professionals? And I said, 4. Because I wasn't ready, and I had a lot of pressure from my mother-in-law. Was just like, you're not medicating her. You're not medicating her.
It's a hard decision.
Oh my God, it's so horrible. It's so horrible.
Some kids
The
are
things that
definitely
people
horrible.
say to parents who are looking into that is complete nonsense, and they don't know what they're talking about.
And I told you, somebody needs to hear this.
Yes.
Hear it from a stubborn woman.
Yes.
Who wouldn't give in for a little while.
Yes.
And tell us what happened with Brooke. 'Cause I love this.
Yeah, so I finally go to psychiatrist number 4. She said, absolutely. And one of the things that the doctor said, I said, they only spent 15 minutes with her, and then they say she needs medication. And she goes, Mom, did you ever think that maybe it's that obvious? And I went, oh my God. I go, is it that obvious? And she goes, yes. So, I mean, it gives me goosebumps because that was just like, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not helping my daughter, I'm hurting her. So, put her, finally find a good psychiatrist, good primary care physician, and we get her on medication. And Brooke comes home from school and says, I can almost make her cry. Mom, guess what? I heard my teacher teaching me today. And I said, what? And she goes, yeah, that's never happened before. I actually heard my teacher teaching me today.
Is that incredible?
Ugh, it was
That's
devastating.
incredible.
It was devastating for me because I was like, here I have been just forcing her to just get through it. And she was getting in trouble. One of her main side effects is she has OCD really, really bad. And I say really, really bad, I'm just saying at a high level of OCD. And the number one trait is impulsivity. So she does not have good decision-making skills.
No filters.
No filters.
No filters.
She just does, and then, like, she would say stuff to me, and then I would be like, oh my gosh. And then when she would see that reaction, then she'd get mad. Because she was like, you're not understanding me, and you're not taking the time to listen to me. And I'm like, oh my God, like, okay. Like, stop. Let's just start over. And so it has been a journey.
Yeah.
We finally went to a neurological psychiatrist and had her brain scan. And I really got to see what was going on. And he just said to me, and he like oversees like a mental health facility for teenagers. This guy is like,
Brilliant.
yes, very, very good. And he said, your daughter's ADHD is one of the most severe I've seen. There's a chart from 0 to 10, and my daughter's like at a 10. And when you sit with her, you wouldn't know, because she's not this, she's not one of these. She's just, her mind is going at 1,000,000 miles a minute. And so, because that was one of the reasons why I had a tough time medicating her. I'm like, she's not like bouncing off the walls. ADHD, hyperactivity. You think that means physically.
Put it in a box.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
has to look like this.
No.
Yeah.
No, but it took a lot of, after the last time she got in trouble at school, she was suspended for a year of school. And I had to put her in intensive therapy. And we got but I was in counseling offices 3 days a week. 3 days a week for hour-long sessions. And I was seeing also the psychiatrist at the same time. So it was like psychiatrists, psychologists, just a lot of work, worth every moment of it, because we are at a good place now. But oh my gosh, correcting my mistake of not doing something earlier, it made her brain not communicate properly, and we had to reset that, and it took a long time.
Well, let me tell you something. Why I think what you have just said is so remarkable is because most women are so weak and so full of pride and ego, they would never be able to have that conversation. We all do really wrong things, or we go down a wrong path and we make mistakes, and we want the best for our kids, but we don't get it right.
Right.
God knows I don't get it right. God knows I don't.
Right.
And just for you to be brave enough to say, hey, this is what happened, and this is what I did once I realized what was going on, is so brave.
It's 1 out of 6 kids, I believe, has ADHD, and people say, oh, you don't have enough information about it, and I'm like, Ritalin has been out for 100 years. They have 100 years worth of studies on that particular drug and the side effects. And I was always afraid about putting her on medication, because back when I was growing up, they would take the kids off the medication at 18, and so many of the people I know that were ADHD, or they were ADD back then, they became drug addicts. And it was because they would take speed and it would make them feel normal.
Right.
But the side effects of the speed obviously were worse than the side effect of making them feel normal, of that, it didn't help them, but they don't do that now. They don't take my daughter will never be off medication. It will be forever. She doesn't have something it's only during puberty.
Well,
that's the kind of stuff I hear from parents, and I'm like, just don't talk to me.
You don't know.
Let me just talk to the professionals. My cousin is a pediatrician, and for a while there, she was her primary care doctor, and she was like, people just, there's a stigma to it, and that's why I talk about it.
Yeah.
Is because there's a stigma to it, and there shouldn't be a stigma to it.
I was just going to say, why is it perfectly acceptable that I have to be on thyroid medicine for my entire life?
Right.
With no stigma.
Right.
Well, you have a thyroid condition. Why is that any different than
Seriously.
Ritalin for a brain that needs it?
Yes.
What is the difference?
There is no difference,
Yeah.
and it's irritating when
It is
people-
irritating.
I took my kid off of. I'm like, okay,
How's
okay,
that
doctor.
going?
Okay, doctor.
Yeah, so
I'm sure that was a really great idea, and I wonder what side effects you or your child is facing now because you don't want to deal with the backlash of what people think about it. And so when people say stuff like that to me, honestly, I'm just like, stop.
I bet you do that too.
I have literally been to 4 different professionals. I have been to psychologists, therapists. I've been to everybody. Trying to make sure I made the right decision, and it took me so long. I actually hurt my daughter.
Yeah.
And but I
There you
made up for it.
And I think that is a perfect stage to launch into why we brought these 2 women onto the show today, because you are not going to believe. You're not going to believe how involved. And I had an epiphany, which I will share later.
Okay.
Having your conversation, but so let's go back to Dena.
Tiffany.
Oh, Tiffany with Tiffany. You know, like silly songs with Larry on Veggie Tales. We're gonna have Tiffany's with Tiffany. That's awesome. That is awesome. Oh my god, good. That was awesome. It was perfect. So Dena, okay, you're an industry leader. Talk about your involvement in this industry, how you got there. Just give us some information about that.
Well, as far as being involved in the real estate industry, I decided when Connor got to close to being a senior, graduating from high school, that I was going to need to get back into something. So when he was little, I was more involved because he wasn't as active. Once he became, once he got into club soccer, and then we're doing cross country, and we're doing high school soccer, and we're doing high school track, and whatever else.
It's all time consuming.
It's all time consuming, and the lucky thing for me about being in real estate was that I only missed 2 of his high school events. And so that was really cool because
That's remarkable. I missed like 2 last week.
It's just, it is now, not to say I didn't get up out of a stadium and take a call and say, hey, wait a second, I'm at a soccer game. I need to walk away so I can actually hear what you're saying on the phone. Or I'm sitting in my car while something's going on so I can have that conversation. But I decided it was time for me to get back into giving back to both the community and my industry. So I actually participated, Tiffany and I were classmates in the 2014 leadership program at Sevrar. And so that was really eye-opening from what goes on in the industry, what's out there.
You both said that was a launching pad.
Huge.
Yeah, it was huge because when I first got into real estate, I totally switched careers, and so when I got into real estate, I focused on being a good agent, and I focused on honing my craft and making sure that I knew that contract inside and out, and all of those things that make you a good agent. And so I really didn't pay attention. I paid my dues like everyone else. I didn't really pay attention to what was going on in the peripheral, and I didn't have to because I was focused on what I was doing. So when I went through leadership, you got to learn about ADRE in much more detail. You learned about Sevrar in much more detail. You learned about AAR in much more detail. You learned about all of the committees and things like that.
And RAPAC.
Yep, everything. So that was kind of the launching pad to get more involved at Sevrar, get more involved in RAPAC, and really also then look for things in the community to get involved with. I wanted to get back into something that wasn't real estate as well. So because I had been at my previous in my previous career, the company I worked for was very involved in the community.
The newspaper, right?
The newspaper, yeah. I worked for the Arizona Republic, and I worked for newspapers in general for over 20 years. But I worked for the Republic quite a while. I worked for them when they were owned by the Pulliam family. So they contributed a lot. And I was thinking yesterday when, just as a side note, when Sandra Day O'Connor announced her Alzheimer's and dementia, where she was stepping back, I actually was at the the Arizona Women Foundation that was started by one of my directors at the paper when I first came back from Denver, where she received the award from them. So that just triggered.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So give us a little, like, you've been involved. Give us a list, because it's impressive. Like, tell us all some of the things you've been. I don't think you can name all of them, but
No. So currently, I'm on the board for Sevrar. I have been on the RAPAC committee since 2014, going into 15 that year. I am going to be the president-elect next year for Sevrar.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I've been on the leadership committee, helped interview other candidates to go through leadership. I've been in East Valley Women's League. I teach for the YWCA. A good friend of mine was the board chair, and she got me into that, and so I teach a financial literacy for them. I also teach home ownership. It's a real basic course, understanding the difference between a security deposit and an earnest money deposit. And I did Booster Club when my son was at Seton. I've been the manager of the soccer team and did that kind of stuff.
And I wanted you to start to make that list, because one of the things I recognized when I was talking to you is that's just in your nature. It wasn't something, in each part of your life, you just were involved. Whether it be all your son's stuff or something with the Republic or now in our industry, it's just it's a commitment. It's getting involved and making a difference and committing.
Yeah.
And Tiffany, you do the same thing. Give us a little, give us a little what you are involved with, which is a lot.
So I was the same thing. So when I was an affiliate, I was super involved with Sevrar. And then I stepped back, and then when I got my real estate license, I wasn't as involved anymore. And same thing. Well, I lived out in Maricopa. So
that's part of that.
It's a little bit of a
it's not close to anything. So I wasn't doing that trek very often. But I was super involved in my kids' PTO. So, and I was in the PTO pretty much for 4 or 5 years with them.
I would rather take spoons and gouge each of my eyeballs out individually than be on the PTO.
The
You know what?
PTO.
Not gonna lie.
Okay, let me tell you, my younger sister was the PTO president. And we kept her in that position for like 3 years because she was so good at it. And I actually am still dear friends with the moms from the PTO group, and I've actually helped them buy and sell homes multiple times.
So what you have to know, like Women's Council of Realtors,
Women's Council,
you get sent all over the place.
I do.
And here's what I found interesting. Both of you are just so super involved in a way that was foreign to me. And at first I was like, I don't get it. But then I went, here's my epiphany, Tiffany.
That's our new tab.
Yes. Here it is. Here's what I realized. I'm just as involved. Not like you are. Right. But then I went, oh my gosh. I had this revelation that when you find the way that you can contribute, when you find the ways that you're uniquely talented, and then you commit in a major way, that's what you guys are doing. Right. It just happens to be at Sevrar, RAPAC, Women's Council of Realtors.
Yes.
You know, it looks different on different people, and we just talked last week about giving back and committing to people and pouring into people and blessing people, and the joy that it brings you individually to be that committed to something. It's really, what you girls are doing is remarkable, and it's so remarkable to me because I can't picture ever doing that. But then I go, I bet you can't picture some of the things that I'm doing, but it's the same heartfelt commitment to something that matters, where you know that you're uniquely talented to make a difference.
Yes, absolutely. Well, when we went through the leadership, that's one of the reasons why I always recommend to people, if you're looking for a way to get involved, especially on the board level, or with the real estate, we have 13,000 members. I mean, in order for all those events to happen and to keep you not on an island and bring you together with other like-minded individuals, you have to know where you fit in, and we got to see exactly where we fit in. It's just kind of funny because we fit into the same places because we both, as soon as we got out, we both were on the RAPAC committee, because we had Holly Mayberry come in, and let me just tell you, I wrote my check that day.
The ice.
Literally, I was
if
like,
you don't understand by the time you're done listening to Holly, then
you're not gonna get it.
It's true.
I wrote my check out that day, and I was like, where's the committee? So I joined it immediately. Dena ended up being my chair, and I was her vice chair, and then I was chair the next year. So, and then we both decided to go on the board. We both have been in the professional development committee. I was on the outreach committee, and then I was on the professional development. That committee's hard.
It is hard. It's a lot of work, and I think to your point of you find your space, and your space is going to be different through the course of your life. So when you're like I've never served on the community outreach committee. There are just certain things that are not in my repertoire or wheelhouse. And there were things that I did when my son was little that, I think there's a reason that you see certain demographics involved in different things over time, because it's where you are in your space in life, right? When you have little kids, you are focused on certain things. When you have teenagers, you're focused on certain things. And for me, when I was at the Republic, and I can't honestly tell you when this was, but I know I was very young, and I remember going home and telling my husband this. I was invited to the Athena Awards in downtown Phoenix. And the Athena Awards are just very eye-opening and very inspiring, because if you look up the definition of Athena, it really gives you the reason why these women who are there nominated, and they're outstanding in their careers, they're outstanding in their community, they're outstanding generally in how they treat the people around them. And so I went home from that, and I know I was very young, and I'm pretty sure it was before we moved to Denver. And I said, I want to achieve, an Athena. Because they were just, I sat there in awe when they read the nominations of the finalists. I was just like, oh my God, these women are just amazing. A lot of them had their own businesses. Some of them were judges. Some of them were in public life. Some of them were in private life. But just what they did in their career and all the impact they had on their community was just amazing. And so, that was the thing that I said to myself, I want to be able to have that impact. I don't know what that looks like, because I was 20 something when that probably took place. And so, and you figure out where you can contribute. There are things, you probably won't ever see me along the side of a highway picking up trash. That's not my thing. But there are a lot of people.
It is totally my thing. In fact, how did you know I was going to do that after this show?
but there's a space for everybody.
There is. You're right. You're right.
And there are people who love to go and sit and rock babies and do things like that. And you know where your heart is. And so I think that's what drives you.
You're absolutely right. The whole thing is I think that the message that I came away after thinking about this topic was not necessarily go get involved at Sevrar or go learn. Well, yeah, we should know about our industry.
Yes.
We should have enough responsibility to know about our industry, at least at some level. But more than that, I just remember saying, okay, Tiffany, why? She goes, well, I've learned so much, and I have all these friends and deep relationships, and I feel like it's a reward. And I went, that's the message we've got to get.
Yes.
Some people just don't commit to anything.
Right.
And the problem is whether it be for laziness or fear or whatever it is, that lack of commitment is hurting you so much because you're missing out on so much joy, so much reward.
100%. Like somebody was saying, so you have to go. So you have to go to Boston for work, and I said, it's not work. It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Am I going to learn a ton about our industry? Absolutely. I'm going to hear about new things that are enacted. We have an incoming new NAR president, and so we'll be hearing from him. I have so much fun.
It's your
and so I
thing.
guess it's what you want out of it. Right. I want to have fun, and so I have fun.
Yeah.
And my feet hurt because I'm walking all over the place.
Pick different shoes.
You should see I have them in my bag. I have my little slippers.
And you learn that at conferences.
Yeah. But so we're going all over the place. We're running into people. I just closed on a house yesterday that was a referral from one of my women's council friends out in Lake Havasu. It's just, you get to meet, and I challenge myself to network while I'm there. And so I'm networking with people all across the country. So is it a job? Yeah, but
it's your passion.
It is so much fun.
Yeah, it's like people ask me and my husband all the time, why would you do what you do? Why? What do you mean, why? We're passionate about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, are there days? Of course.
Yes.
Of course. But
Yes.
in general, I'm
Yeah.
so full of joy and so bubbling over with what I'm doing. I know that I'm in the place that God wants me to be.
Right.
And so that's the message of today. So before we wrap things up, I would like each of you to give our audience a piece of advice, whether it be professional, for personal, getting involved. Give them a piece of advice to make
Well,
their minds feel like.
People always come to me and they say, how do you do all the stuff that you're involved in with being on the board, and women's council, and all that kind of stuff? I time block. I'm a huge time blocker. I took time blocking from Franklin Covey back in the day. Remember when they had the store? And I went down there.
Yes,
I
I
was
wrote
a-
in them.
I still do. I have to.
I was a manager at for MAC Cosmetics, and believe it or not, they sent me to a time blocking store, to the time blocking class, and I started time blocking back then. And I think I left them in 1998. I can still freelance, but as a manager, I left in 1998, and I have maintained the time blocking from that period. And so when people say, "How do you fit it all in?" It's like, if you want to do
You
it,
can.
you fit it in.
That's right.
And so if you want to pursue being involved, or, you know, and because I'm in part of the Chamber of Commerce too, so like, you want to be involved, you put it in your calendar and you just
Make it happen.
schedule everything around it. And I make it happen. It's not like I'm a top producer, but I do well enough, especially in my household, I do enough to make us have a nice lifestyle. So make it happen. Just put it in your calendar and fit it in.
I was just talking to God about that this morning. No kidding. I was just like, you know what? If I ever say, I don't want to ever say I didn't have time.
Yes.
I want to say I didn't make the time.
Yes.
I didn't make the time.
There's a difference.
There's a huge difference. One's a victim. I didn't have any time.
Yeah.
Right? Which I just realized I can't say that anymore. I didn't make the time.
Right.
And if it's important to me, I need to make the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice. If you want to get involved and you tell you don't have enough time, make it.
Make it.
It's in
Excellent. Yep.
So I've been thinking about this because it's like, how much time do I have to give advice? Because as I was interviewing people to be vice chairs, because that's part of my duty as president-elect, is to bring in vice chairs for the committees. And I was talking to a younger in age, younger in tenure agent, and was talking to her. And so I was kind of thinking about when you asked me the question and sent the email, and I remember talking to Kristen a little bit, because I feel like I am, when I started in the newspaper, I was the youngest of everything. I was the youngest in the department, I was the youngest manager, I was the youngest female, I was the only female, and parts of it. So there's a lot of life lessons, but and one of the things that Kristen said is, you know, there's a lot of young moms that get in. So I decided I have a lot of career advice, but I would also focus it around moms. And I think, you know, I was never somebody who wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That was just never my thing. My mother's father, my little Italian grandfather, said to me when I got pregnant, "Well, I thought you wanted to be a career girl." And I said, "Well, I want to do both." Right? So, but I had a philosophy that I maintained through my career, and whether it's divine intervention, whether it's the way life happens, however you want to believe in it, but my philosophy was able to be realized, and that is, you know, how I wanted to be with my son and what I wanted to do. And so I think what you have to do as a mom, when you have your kids and you commit to a family and you want to have a career, you have to make commitments and you have to know there are sacrifices. And sometimes that sacrifice, for me, my thought process, and I would say I'm not the normal mom in that sense, that my thought process is when they're really little, they need love, they need care, they need warmth, they need safe environment, that sort of thing. But we were very lucky. We had a lady behind us who was his in-home daycare person for a long time, and she was the best. And I didn't have a problem taking him to preschool when he got to a certain point, but I wanted to be around when he was a teenager. I wanted to be the one who influenced him, not, you know, 25 other people I didn't know or crazy kids that I didn't know. And so my advice to young moms or moms who are just getting into careers is really take some time to figure out what it is that you want long term. What do you want your life to be? What is your philosophy for raising your kids? And if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, then find a way to do what you want to do to make money to allow you to do that. If you want to be a career person, I was a career person in the 80s, and it was all about the big shoulder pads and the suits and, going and the original
did have really
and big hair
shoulder pads.
and you were the Murphy Brown was like your hero, right? So when she was out the first time, and so you had,
Nobody knows what we're talking
I know,
about.
nobody knows what we're talking about. But
Google it.
yeah, Google it, right. She was as poignant and on target as ever. But you have to decide what you want, and don't let other people find a mentor, whether it's male or female, and use them to help advance you, and be committed to what you want to do. If you want to be the CEO of a company, be the CEO of a company. Figure out what you need to do to get there, and be committed, and know what that means to your family and what that may mean for sacrifices.
Right, yes.
And understand that. And I was willing to do some of those. And, I have a great son. He's kind. He opens the door for ladies, he opens the door for his grandmother. He makes sure he writes thank you notes, all that kind of stuff. And so my making those sacrifices early on has ultimately have paid off. I always said I worked for tuition. I wanted him to be able to have the best schooling possible. So that's my advice. Do what you're
Get clear.
to do.
Get clear. I'm not gonna lie. I'm picturing you with big hair right now.
I did. I had the perm.
I'm not gonna
Because I
lie.
have super straight hair. I had the perm.
Me too.
The spiral. Yeah.
I see it. I see the bangs up.
Oh no, I never did the bangs up. No, I didn't do that.
Should
I had
have.
the
It would have
big
worked for you. Can you just as a last word? Why do we wear those shoulder pads?
Because it made us look.
I never did.
Look at me. I'm so broad shouldered. Can you imagine what I must have scared the shit out of everybody when I had those shoulder pads on.
I took mine out.
You did. You were forward thinking.
Because it was too
Because
crazy.
that was a mistake.
It was too crazy. I have really broad shoulders too, so
Oh
I was like,
my
that's
gosh.
not-
Mine are.
that's not
yeah,
happening.
I'm more.
I didn't have the foresight. I didn't have the epiphany with Tiffany. I did not have it.
Yeah, I did style people. I worked for Nordstrom's when I was really young, and so I styled people. So I was like,
Okay, so you had the knack. No, I can assure you I never had any fashion sense whatsoever. Ever. Okay. Anyway, on that note, I want to thank you both for your time and your knowledge.
Thank you for having
And
us.
absolutely, and we do have to thank the Mortgage Advantage, April Chadwick and Diane Gertis,
Yes,
who
love
make
them.
this possible. Thank you for your support, and thank you all of you for watching. Please don't forget to tell other women about this show. It's good.
It's
And
good. It's been fun.
We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, our podcast is on iTunes, and you can go get really cute Moms in Real Estate shirts at shopmomsinrealestate.com. You can buy it. You can buy it right online. Shop. So, thank you guys for watching.